Hello guys and welcome back again. We are back. It's a pleasure for me to have you guys here again. It's been a long time and hopefully we're gonna do something good today. I know that I've been a little busy to upload certain videos here, but hey, we're trying our best to be back and to share some information with you. For today topics, we will pretty much react to this video that I came across. Apparently, they talk about that the subject is pretty much feminism or something. But this guy called Andrew is developing this topic to explain how feminism doesn't exist because it relies to someone else's power or ability to maintain that structure. Without further ado, we are going to jump right in, and I will probably give my reaction maybe later, but let's dive into it and we'll see how it goes.
So what you're
Even
saying
though they can't
there,
defend for themselves. So does that mean that, fetuses shouldn't be deserving of human rights if you are pro-life because women could just decide to just abort them? Like, I just
well, so
don't
this
think
is
people use
this
that as an
is this
argument.
is question begging, right? So I'm asking you, where do rights come from? And you say, well, conservatives will say that children in the womb have rights. Well, that may be true or may be false, but that doesn't actually answer my question, which I'm asking you, where do you think rights come from?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is where they don't come from is physical strength.
Yeah, I
Their
don't care where they
ability to
don't come
defend
from. I
yourself.
want to know where they do come from. Where do they come from?
I guess it's subjective. Like, some people think it comes from just a religious sense of you're a person, you're deserving of human rights, you're deserving of prosperity and happiness. Or you could argue that, I guess it depends.
Yes, I want to put disclaimer because you will notice that Andrew, this guy, is I don't know him. That's why I'm trying to just be respectful. So Andrew smokes a lot. I don't know how or why, but he smokes a lot. And you can look at some of his video. He's always smoking. I think it's something that is really to the point where it's becoming medical for him to smoke that much. But hey, I hope that it will the Lord will help him to protect the temple a little more. He knows what I'm talking about. So let's spin the clip.
And what you think are fundamental rights, like which
Well,
rights are
that's the question I'm asking you, is if you don't have an explanation or grounding for why you think that people should have rights at all, or where rights even come from, then what else could they be other than an enforcement mechanism by groups of people for what they think other people should be allowed to do or not do?
I don't think, because I don't have a clean definition of where rights come from, that means that I have to just defer that rights should just come from who can physically enforce them.
Where else could they come from then?
If there's no clean definition, it means that tyranny is what dictates rights.
Well, no. Well, in your case, for democracy, you might say it's a tyranny of majority, or you could say that it's not a tyranny because it's the majority. It wouldn't really matter which way you framed it. The truth of the matter is, though, is that you have to at some point contend with this issue, which is, if you don't think that there's a grounding for rights and they're just all subjective based on cultures and people groups and things like this all over the world, that's fair enough. But then you would have to also say in that same breath, if they're all just subjective, then who's giving them to who? And who can take them away from who?
Sure. So I guess rights are established within a civilization. Or usually within national borders. It's decided, like, what do people need in order to have a prosperous life or to have, like, an equal opportunity? I'm just saying, usually the physical enforcement is there to ensure a bottom line, to ensure that people at the bottom, even if they're handicapped, like, I just don't understand why this example is you're using it to apply it to women.
Well, the Greeks said that without law, there can be no freedom. And what they're saying there is, if you don't have an enforcement arm for what keeps you free, being like things like a military, things like police, things that are enforcement laws. In other words, you can't actually enforce any of these rights. How could you? How could you possibly do it? So since men are the enforcement arm, there's really no way out of the fact that you get your rights from them, whether you like it or not. You could say that egalitarianism as a principle is great, but that really is just begging the question again as to who's giving you your rights. You're not giving them to yourself. So in other words, Farah, you didn't wake up one morning with rights of which you gave yourself. You have rights which other people allow you to have and can easily take away if they so chose, and there wouldn't be anything you could do about it. That's my whole point.
Sure, your entire neighborhood one day can just decide, we hate Andrew, he's annoying, he's not mowing his lawn, let's go kill him. Does that mean your rights are laughable?
Not if they were women.
Overpowered by a larger
Not if they were women. They could do that if they were men, though. I agree. I would agree.
Yes, yes. That's why I always say that there's a power structure that happens when you talk to, I mean, not really talking to anybody, but usually when you're talking about, equality and, the dynamic between men and women, it's always like there's a power there, like the control or the ability to have rights and all that comes with a responsibility, which is, being responsible to maintain and sustain the right. If you are not capable of maintaining and sustaining the right that you deem to be fit for yourself, then you don't have it. That's why, these conversations are really, really important.
That men could
I'm
likely.
pretty sure 20 women could come and just decide we're going to overtake Andrew because he's not mowing his lawn.
I think it would be far more difficult for them to enforce it than 20 men. Wouldn't you agree? And I think that they would probably appeal to men in order to exercise the enforcement, which is what they do right now, which is what women do right now. They appeal to men to exercise all enforcement of all of their rights and all of the things that they want. They can't appeal to women because women can't enforce their rights. And never.
Yes, that's very, very important. That's very true because, for the men to respect the law and to retain themselves or avoid any how should I put it, to avoid any confrontation with the rules, they have to understand that there is repercussion after crossing that line or after offending on or not respecting the rule, right? It's like they have to be conscious of the consequences, and in their mind they have to be also the ability to understand that the person or the other side of the other party that will enforce, the structure on them or the laws on them has to have a strength higher, if not equal to them, for them to respect it or to agree or to abide by it. Right? I don't know if that's kind of clear because I wanted to take it like, slowly and surely so that myself, I really want to understand what I'm saying because I don't want to be, yapping, but not really understanding what I'm saying. So basically, that's the concept, right? So like a man's mind in his form, like not the one that is, a little model, more, I don't know how to say it, like, soften and, cozy and chilling and nice and all that. No, the actual men that are, they have all their senses and they understand the power struggle, the power structure, sorry. They understand the dynamic of power and strength. If not one understands, but everybody understands in terms of, the numbers of men that understand this concept, it's easier for them to align if there's a, reinforcement that comes from another man. But then if you reverse it and you have a lot of women reinforcing the law, I don't think we're gonna be talking about the same topic, because it's not gonna work for men to have, to abide by the law reinforced by women. So I think that's his point.
For having able
5 women, or like 3 women, 2 men come tomorrow, kidnap you, tie you to a chair, and start beating you, and I say, oh, well, he can't fight back right now. We're the one who decides if he eats or sleeps or gets water. Does that mean your rights are laughable? The basis of your rights are laughable? That makes no sense.
So what you're no.
Enforcement mechanisms are subjective. So if I decide
hang on.
to put you under a tyrannical situation and torture you,
actually, you're making my point.
Laughable.
You're making my point for me. So
How?
if my rights are being violated and I'm unable to physically do something about it, so 2 men and 3 women have tied me up, they're now depriving me of life, liberty, and happiness by doing this, and I can't physically do something about this, who would I appeal to do something about this?
Yeah, nobody.
If you can't appeal to someone, it means the basis of your rights are laughable.
Yeah, unless you can tell me what the basis of rights are, which is what
People
I've
say
asked you
they're
in the
violating
beginning.
the legal basis of your rights.
Yeah, I know, but what is the legal basis of the rights come from what?
In America, it comes from the Constitution.
Which came from?
Men.
Currently, the Constitution can only be amended legally. Like, I don't think men can just overpower that right now.
Really?
They can.
Tried to before in the Civil War.
Yeah.
Currently,
what's the difference between now and then?
Yeah, like men made those laws, and they are the only one able to overpower it, right? Because there's the concept of strength in terms of power, like physical strength. It's a huge point in men mindset. It's a really huge point, really huge point. But I think that some women does not understand that. Like strength, telling you, man. We are checked and we are aligned the way we are. We're not doing things as if we are just in our nature as animals and all of that, because we know that there's other men, even if they are not stronger than us in terms of physical strength, but if there's 2 of them already, it's already a problem. If there's one, and if there's only one man on this earth, and there's another one somewhere and somehow, and they meet, I don't think we're gonna have this conversation. I don't think it's gonna be a problem with them doing whatever they want. But as long as there's another one and the 2 other ones have the same mindsets to restrain the one that is left, meaning that you have a scenario of 3 people and you have 2 ones that are trying to control the other one, right? Then there's a strength that comes into the equation that is going to lean to one side, and the one who doesn't have that strength will be put down, if I can say. But other than that, I don't see it possible with a different gender. But I know it's not easy to hear those type of things, but we have to sit down and analyze the equation, or analyze the situation, and be as logical as possible to understand this concept. And I think that will help. And then you will see that sometimes you just have to be grateful that the men were able to control other men, because if that was not the case, we would have been in a really crazy situation, like really like wild, like crazy stuff, like the purge or something.
They tried to once before. What do you mean? So if men don't like the hand that they've gotten, they don't like the nation that they're in, they don't like the government that they have, they don't like the circumstances they're in collectively, they seem to be able to do something about that. They can overthrow the entire nation, for instance.
Yes, and that's what we see today nowadays with what is this country again? Like Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. It's happening already. Like men, they when they don't like something, and they have a group of people like willing to fight with them, they always over what? They always overpower the laws and the rules, right? Because they have the strength to do that, and it's gonna be men against men, and I don't see any women, taking that place and taking over and overpowering any laws and power that men put in place. I don't see that happen, because there's this factor, which is strength. So it's all about strength. We can repeat it as much as we can, and everything is just turning around strength, circling
Can you
around.
point to a country in history you can ever think of where women have collectively overthrown the nation with force?
Okay, so by enforcement mechanism, you don't mean through like legal or civil measures. You mean through like revolution and
those are both physical measures. A legal measure is a physical enforcement. How else could it work? Like what stops you from breaking the law? It's a penalty, right? Doesn't somebody enforce the penalty?
Yes.
I'm just saying revolutions could be spearheaded by anyone. I just don't understand why this is like such a gendered idea for you, that like women's rights are laughable because a majority could overtake them. Like that's the case with any larger group of people.
It's not the case. So for instance, let's say you had a dynamic where you had 20% men to a 80% female ratio. The men would still be in charge. We know this.
I don't know if that's true.
Well, not only can I demonstrate that this is true by showing you nations post-war, where a lot of the men, up to 2/3 in some cases, were completely wiped out and the men were still in charge. The reason is because even then, the power dynamic is it's sloped such in the favor of men that women still need them to enforce their rights. Women are unable to physically do this type of work themselves, at least collectively. There might
Yes, because it's obvious. I don't know how this concept is even harder to understand nowadays, because it's always been easy to understand. Like, men are, you can have one man in the house full of women, you still feel like you're kind of secure when that man is around. Like a strong one, like not just a baby or something, but a strong one in the house. The women are secure, and they know, their senses knows that they are secure. And it's as he said, like it's not a hard concept to understand, but since it's not giving you the empowerment feeling, then you're not taking it, right? There's obvious things that happen in history, in throughout history, and we've seen those things happen over and over. Nowadays that we have civilized the world to this point where it's even harder to understand those concepts, because you are incapable of imagining a world like back then, because you are sure that the laws and the justice system and everybody's gonna protect you, right? Because they've been, like, men created those laws to reinforce them against whoever, especially men, that will break the law, right? So it's very, very easy to understand, but since she's trying to make her point as well, but let's spin the clip.
be individual women who are able to be police officers, great military officials, things like this. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm talking about on average and in generalities here. And in general, no, women can't enforce rights and have never been able to. Their rights collectively come from men.
Okay, so women's rights are laughable because men, if needed, can use enforcement mechanisms, whether legally or just purely physically.
No, I don't know why it's hard for her to understand it. Sorry for always cutting this, because it's easy, right? It's easy to understand this concept, because just go back, like, in those days where the law was not really reinforced like nowadays, right? Men was in charge, and quite frankly, not to be rude, but men was able to do whatever they wanted, right? With not only the women around them, with the men around them. Is a power dynamic. It is just a strength thing, right? If you look at a tribe, where you like a village where you have like a structure and everything, and then you have like a group of men leading that structure. We can see it in the movie Apocalypto, for example. This movie, like, I don't know, you can find a bunch of movie explaining and showing how man was able to control the world, right? To control the environment. And when I say environment, imagine they control lions and put them in the cage, and they put like bears and I don't know, tigers, and man, and then what if they want to control, their counterpart? It's not gonna be hard. It's not gonna be hard to do, right? Since they created a law because they wanted to. Men created a law to make sure that there's equality in terms of laws and benefit and rights. Then, right, they also put men to reinforce that, because they know the only animal that they can. I'm gonna put it like this, right? All right, let's hear this. Men will fear the only animal that can put them in cage. Got it? Right? They can only fear and respect the other animal, which is another man, that can put them in a cage. But if you leave them to their own device, they will put everybody in a cage except the man, because the man has the strength to defend himself. That's not hard to understand, but let's spin the clip.
To overpower them. Our children's rights also then laughable.
Hang on, back up, because
But I think the problem that we're having is like a modern mindset or a modern way of looking at life is discussing with someone who's looking at things in a broader, if I can say that, in a broader way, right? Where he's not only looking at it as a nowadays situation where the laws and everything and the rights and no, he's looking at it in a bigger scale, in the whole world, right? He's not looking at it in the sense of only the United States no, he's looking at it in Africa, and then he's collecting all this information. That's why he makes his argument like this. So it's not really just a United States thing, or the modern or the Western society. It's more like in the whole world, because you can go somewhere today, you will still see men leading a bunch of women, but the numbers of men is really, really low. Meaning you can have 20 men with 80 women, the men still reinforce and reinforce the law and put the law in place. And it's not gonna be you will never find anywhere it's the other way around nowadays, especially, right? Where you have 20 women that leads 8 men, 80 men, even 8 men, right? 20 women that leads 8 men, you will never find it. You can find 8 men leading 20 women.
You're actually straw manning, right? Remember, I said the word egalitarianism, meaning equality. Equality is laughable, not women's rights. not giving rights to women, in other words. But egalitarianism and equality is laughable because it's paradoxical. And the great paradox of it is that you would be appealing to the same group of people who can then take your rights away while at the same time considering yourself equal to those people. It's laughable.
Yes,
It's a
laughable.
paradox.
Yes. Yes. That's so right. That's correct. Like, you think you're equal to the person that, I mean, I don't know, man. This concept is so easy to understand, but I don't know what they went over like 3 hours 50 to just discuss this point. And that was really hard for her to understand this. I'm telling you, like, crazy, man. Like, easy to understand.
I just don't know if that's a good basis. Like, I don't think you're less than of a human because you are missing a leg or because you're of older age.
No, that's a complete different point. God, that's a complete different point. Right? Nobody's talking about you are not valuable, or you're not good enough, or you're not, you're not useful or anything like that. They talk about a complete different thing that I think you missed it.
And you probably can't fight back against the younger generation. Gen Z can decide today, we're going to kill off Gen X. Does that mean
there's a terrible argument too?
Yes.
Because I'm not, you're again straw manning. I'm not talking about a person who has a disability, for instance, being a lesser or greater human being. That has no merit to the argument.
Laughable.
Yeah,
She
I'm
can't
saying
stay
to
on
you
topic.
that
That's the
it's
problem.
not that women are lesser human beings. In fact,
She's
consider
losing the
them
argument.
the
She's
same
trying to
as
find a
far
way
as,
to,
how they should be treated. They should definitely be treated with respect and dignity and all those wonderful things that we would expect in society for everybody to treat everybody that way. But that's not going to change the grounding fact that that their rights come from men and are enforced by men.
Are senior citizens' rights laughable? Is their equality laughable? Not saying that, not strawmanning you by saying that you're
I think I'm gonna stop here.
Is their
Maybe
equality
let's give it a couple
laughable
minutes more, and
because
then
they can be
let's see.
physically
Maybe
overpowered by Generation Y, Generation Z.
Well, okay,
Because
so
we can just decide, like,
this is
well, we're gonna take away the
actually
right to vote from senior citizens.
yeah. So this is
and we can physically overpower them. We can decide to
no.
abolish
Listen,
nursing homes.
listen. You're making a pivotal mistake here. If you're saying to me, like, can men take rights away from other men? The answer is yes. Yes. Can men take rights away from women?
Yes.
The answer is yes. Can women take rights away
No.
from men? The answer is no.
No.
No, they can't.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Millennial women can't take away rights from senior citizens?
No. Come on.
Not unless men allow it.
Yeah.
Because if men decide collectively not to allow it, there's nothing you can
So
do.
she doesn't realize that she's trying to find a weaker version of a man to make the argument. So that actually makes the Andrew argument even further, because she has to rely on the weak side of man to bring it to the equality of strength so that she can make her argument. It's crazy, man.
In other
And
words,
if an entire
you can
generation
never
co-gendered decide to take a right away from an older generation co-gendered, like, I just don't understand
men.
where this, like,
Yes,
different-
men can still take rights away from men. This has been established 50 times. But women can't take the rights away from men. That's the problem that you have, is that even if all of you collectively came together tomorrow, like, let me ask you this, just reasonably think about this. Say the entirety of the human race decided one day that they were going to go to war with each other, all of the men and all of the women. Who do you think would win?
all of the men. I'm not disputing the fact.
Why she's taking time to respond to this question? The question is clear. I don't know.
That men could overpower women.
Now, hang on. For the rest of the thought exercise, pretend for a second the entirety of all of women went to war with 20% of the population of men, and all the other men stayed out of it. Who do you think would win?
Honestly.
Wow. I wonder if like people are just disconnected with reality. Like, I don't know But I think this question could be easily answered in Africa. Sorry, but yes, like in Africa, you ask this question, people be like, "Oh, of course it's gonna be man." You come to the U.S., you're like, "Nah, we don't know." How you don't know? You have all data, all stats, and all history and documents proving that men will still win. Oh, this is.
Honestly, I don't know. I think war is more about is about other things.
They talk about war. Sorry for yelling. They talk about war. Of course, there's gonna be violation. Not violation. Violence. Of course, there's gonna be strength, fights and killing and all of that. Blood.
Physical strength. It's about like weaponry. It's about how you can strategize.
No, even if there's weaponry, you're still not gonna win. You're still not gonna win, because you know why? I'm gonna give you one point. It's because you don't understand the dynamic of fight and power. Fight and power, not in the office where you sign a couple of paper and you become the CEO, and now you have to, you can tell people to go left and right to do things for you. No, like the strength in a fight, meaning you know how to fight, and you have some experience in fighting, and fighting someone who's either stronger than you, weaker than you, or you have the same strength. So if you've never been in that situation, it's going to be hard for you to understand what fight means, even killing the other person, because the man has the man is the only humankind that can deliver a deadly force. Meaning, if a man punches you on your face in the right location, you could die. And I know that women can also do that, but the ratio or the percentage of a woman that does it are really, really, really low, near to zero. So that's why, yeah, war equals fight and blood and killing and weapon and all that.
So I don't
Andrew,
know.
are we assuming a world without like modern weapons and modern technology, just like kind of like,
even in a world with modern weapons and modern technology?
Yeah.
okay.
Because you have
Even
to be able
then-
to carry them.
80%. I would honestly, in that case, I'm being honest. I genuinely think women in that case.
Why?
We're using modern technology.
Yeah. So why do you think
By
that
the
women,
numbers?
who are generally speaking inept with technology, generally, we're not saying all women, but generally speaking, they're inept. We know this because of who goes into the technological and STEM fields when we have egalitarianism. Guess who it still is? It's men. They overwhelmingly are the engineers. They are overwhelmingly the people who fix everything in society. They're the ones who create and operate that very same technology. I don't think that highly specialized tech like that, even then, would be something that women could easily deploy against even 20% of men. You're talking about something here, if you scale it up, you start to kind of recognize how lopsided the power dynamic really is and always will be. There's not anything that can be done about it. That's what makes this a great paradox. To appeal to men for rights and at the same time say that you're equal to men is laughable.
Sure, you didn't say all of women and all of men in this instance. You said 80% women, 20% men.
Even then,
So
yeah.
even then, there could still be, even though less women go into STEM, in that 80% pool, there could be more women who are technologically inclined.
I still think they would
pool of
lose.
men.
I still think
I
if
don't know,
you
this
if
is
you
a-
were,
this is
I
a
still think they would
psychology
lose. But the
experiment.
thing is, the point being is that even if they wouldn't, in that particular case, just that one particular case, maybe it just took 30% of men, whatever the collective was.
Okay.
The
and look,
power
I think
dynamic
senior
is
citizens are also pretty
ridiculously.
technologically inept. Senior citizens are also technologically inept. If you
Mhm.
put all of
Men
generation
can take
Z,
rights away from men
all
for
of
the 300th
millennial
time.
women against all of
Mhm.
senior citizen men, I think women would win in terms of warfare technologically.
Okay,
I think
listen,
even
hang on.
Andrew, let her finish. Let her finish.
Yeah, but she's straw manning the entire
I
position.
know,
She doesn't
but
understand it.
She's not interrupting you. Just let her
No,
finish.
he can
Go
he
ahead.
can go on.
Okay, go.
Listen, you're straw manning their position. I think you don't understand it. You can have great monoliths of one versus the other and possibly overwhelm them. That's really not the point. It's that if women were to, all the millennial women were to decide tomorrow that the senior citizens needed to lose all their rights, they would still have to appeal to men in order to allow that to happen. So if all the other men were like, nope, they still have rights, women still couldn't do anything. That's my
about
point.
it. Yeah.
Why would we have to appeal to them? This thought experiment involved warfare. If you're at war, who are you appealing to? You're just relying on your technological what?
I mean,
or whatever the
this becoming disingenuous and there's not point. But hey, give me a comment and let me know what you guys think, because this is just so they're going in circle right now, because she's seeing it but she doesn't want to acknowledge it. But yeah, you give me a comment and a like or subscribe and give me your opinion on this, and then yeah, and I'll see you guys in the next one.